Ladies and gentlemen, it is Frank here again, and I got a new map open called, well, it's not really new, it's from Arma 2, it's called the Reshmen Province, and it's from Arma 2 Operation Arrowhead, and this is a humongous fucking map, and I actually only heard about this recently, so I definitely intend on importing Takistan Insurgency to multiple maps, including this, and I am actually gonna I haven't even gotten to play on this map yet. I'm just looking at it right now. So this map should work with ALiVE. If you look at the, you can go to the ALiVE website, and there's a list. Actually, no, we could do also this ALiVE wiki. That'll make life easier. There we go. livemod.com/wiki. And here you'll find a list of maps that are known to work with ALiVE modules. And Reshman should be, there it is. So there you go. Proof that, from the live devs, that Reshman works, as does Inzu Isogo, Takistan obviously, Zargabad, you get the idea. So a lot of these maps, I will be porting Takistan Insurgency to. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it to all those maps now, because I would like to get Takistan Insurgency fully developed. That way when I put it over to other maps, it'll be completely finished in every single map, and it'll just basically be a preference thing, where what maps people want and what enemies they want to fight. Because in the jungle, you'll be fighting the African aggressors, and desert areas will be fighting Middle Eastern, and if I decide to do European areas, you'll be fighting the European rebels and stuff like that. And I might even go do other areas as well if the aggressors mod allows, or I come with other ideas. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you can basically create an insurgency mission. And because I feel that, because people are like, oh man, you did such a great job, man. You're like, wow, this is great. And, you know, I love the support. It's fucking awesome. I mean, I didn't think, I thought I was actually going to get bashed for making an insurgency mission, but it seems like most people appreciate it, so that's badass. So, yeah, what I did was very simple. I just used ALiVE, threw in some scripts. I did a little bit of script editing, and that was about it. But nothing major. It was mainly for the better. But yeah. So what we're gonna do is start throwing in the first thing you do is create your player unit, where you want your team to start. I didn't think about it at all yet, so I'm just gonna put a guy by what I assume is a barracks. So let's create a player unit. Alright, so now we got a rifleman there. That's our player unit. Now what we're gonna do is click these three little boxes on the left. This is your modules tool in the editor. And you just, it doesn't matter where you create these modules, but just create them, there you go, just double click, and at the bottom here you got four ALiVE categories. You got ALiVE systems, ALiVE support, ALiVE military, and ALiVE civilians. Something that, the reason why a lot of people don't use ALiVE in their missions, from what I've heard anyway, is that people just don't want to watch the tutorial videos, because they are really, they explain everything very well, but they just kind of, it takes a while, and I understand that, so they kind of over-explain some things. So I'm just going to show you how to throw this stuff in, and I'll try to explain it very minimalistically, and if you want to learn more about it, the ALiVE developers created their own videos about that stuff. So first thing you do is ALiVE systems category, create a requires ALiVE module, 1 players, unless you want them to kick people, but I wouldn't enable that. Next, you double click again, and you place view settings. This will allow players to change their view settings when they press their user action 20 key. By default, it'll be 20,000. This is too much in my opinion, but I'll leave it, whatever. But this will, in multiplayer games, your view distance is capped at like 1600. So having a view distance module is important, so that you can make it even higher. Also have a profiling system module. This will profile everything. We're not going to debug because we don't care about that stuff. Just leave all this for now. Create another module. Player tags I don't really like. Well, you could add it, but some mods already add them, so I don't add them myself. Player persistence is kind of glitchy right now, so we're not going to add that. Garbage collector is important. Set the interval to 120, limiter to 30. This basically means when there's 30 groups or 30 objects on the map, every every 2 minutes it'll check for 30 objects, like dead bodies and stuff, and it will basically remove them from the mission. It's for performance purposes, so that's very good. Dynamic weather, you can add if you want. I don't personally like dynamic weather because I noticed that it just kind of instantly changes the weather, but maybe it's just a one-time thing. I've only used it once, so. Disable statistics you don't need, the database you don't need, crew info you can add if you want. It'll tell you if people are inside the vehicle with you. Civilian population system, that's very useful in my opinion because it makes the insurgency more atmospheric and immersive. Spawn radius is by default 900, but I personally like to set it to about we'll set it to 750, and you could work your way down around somewhere. The minimum you want to have is 600 because if you make it slower than that, then people are just gonna kind of pop up when you get there too early or too late. Active limiter is 25. I set this down to 20 in the current version of Takistan Insurgency, but I keep playing around with it. The civilians are pretty performance heavy. Blue 4 hostility will set to extreme. This means that the civilians will be extremely likely to be hostile to have a poor disposition with the Blue 4, so they won't really like the Blue 4 guys. That doesn't mean they're gonna pull out guns all the time and bombs and shit, but that just means that maybe they'll run away from you, or they'll keep an eye on you and stuff. They'll be suspicious of your actions and stuff like that. So it doesn't just mean that they're gonna try to be terrorists. It just means that they won't like you, and yeah, not all of them won't like you, but eventually, if you keep the server up for like a week, then yeah. Extreme we don't need that. AI skill, this is extremely important. If you don't use AI mods on your server, then you must use this. Basically this will cap the AI's ability to make sure they don't become robotically accurate all the time and stuff. And for custom skill here, this is going to be the faction name of the bad guys or friendlies that are AI that will cap their skill. So the enemies that will be spawning will be the CAF_AG_ME_T. T stands for tribal or terrorists, whatever. And you can play around with all these. I think I set the courage to 0.68, and there's something else I changed. You can always check the official mission that I released. I always release them open source now, so you can always check out the missions. Alright. If you don't want to use these values for the faction, you can edit it as much as you want, or if you just want to use a simple expert, veteran, or regular or recruit faction difficulties for the AI, you could do that too. So instead of putting it here, you would put it here or wherever. Alright, I probably over-explained that. So admin actions, this is also important in my opinion. You don't really need it, but if you're testing this, and I currently need Takistan Insurgency to be tested a lot more than, I mean, it's great that people are playing it. That's awesome. I fucking love that. I mean, it's really cool to see people posting videos and stuff and comments about how, you know, playing the mission and how much they like it. It's really cool. So, but having a debug thing here for admins basically is very helpful for me and for people testing. Makes things easier for them to test. So I'm just gonna leave everything checked, but it's pretty self-explanatory with these things too. Ghosting means that you won't be targetable by AI, and you can teleport around the map, and yeah, you get the idea. Right, ungroup these also. Make sure that none of these modules are grouped, because that's not good. I think that's it for all the system stuff. Yep. That's all system stuff off the top of my head. So we got requires ALiVE, view settings module, profile system, garbage collector, civilian population system, AI skill, and admin actions. For more civilian stuff, we're going to create another module, and this time we're going to click the ALiVE civilian category. By default it's ambient civilian placement because it's the only module available right now. It's the force faction to CAF AGME CIV Civ, or you could use Civ _ F if you want to use the Altus civilians, the vanilla civilians. Placement level will be extreme. Place ambient vehicles. You don't have to enable this, but we'll set it to low for now to demonstrate it. Vehicle. I noticed that the placement of some of these vehicles when they spawn in tend to sometimes be spawned inside of objects and they explode immediately. So sometimes you might want to have it disabled just for performance purposes. For the objective size filter, I'm just going to click do not filter. That way civilians pretty much spawn anywhere where there's houses and towns and stuff like that in villages. The TAOR marker and blacklist marker basically means that, turn off debug. TAOR marker is where basically the civilians will be focused on. They will only be spawned in that area, whereas blacklist marker will make sure no one spawns in that marker area. So if you created a marker and gave it a name, that's where you would put the marker name. Alright, so next is, let's create some modules over here. And so far I'm just placing modules, and what it comes down to in the end is just playing with the settings and testing the shit out of your mission to make sure that those settings perform the best. And performance is better than quality or quantity, I would say. So I would love to have tons of civilians everywhere, but it's just, you know, the armor can't really handle it so good, I guess. Not yet. Maybe in 4 years, but not yet. So here we are. We got a live military module selected, or category selected, and then the module we're going to choose is, we're going to use a few of these. We're going to place an OPCOM module, then we're going to place a CQB, and then finally a military civilian placement module. So OPCOM, disable the debug, so I don't really care about that. Control type will be occupation. Tasks will be no, because there's no players on the faction of the insurgents. And the faction here for override factions will be CAF AGMET. So the tribal insurgents will be given their own objectives and strategic points to occupy and stuff like that. And that is it. Click OK. Now let's create a mil-civ placement module. Military civilian placement module. No debugging on anything because we just don't care. We're gonna set do not filter. Objective type will be all. Set to all for now. You can set it to settlement also, but setting it to all will allow them to occupy abandoned military compounds and stuff like that. And for blacklist marker, let's create blacklist 1 _ marker. It's gonna be the name of our blacklist marker for over the U.S. airbase. The rest of the map will be contested, or possibly be contested. Force faction will be CAF AGMET. We're going to set this to light infantry, that force waiting. That way the insurgents are just like, you know, foot infantry basically, essentially. Force size we'll leave at 200. You could play around with this number. If you go to like 400, 800, especially 1,000, 200, you're going to notice some pretty big fucking performance hits. So right now 200 is where I'm sitting at. Right now it's kind of like the sweet spot between, it's not too performance heavy, but it's not too smooth. You know, it's like the sweet spot. So place units is all we want. Don't want to filter anything. All right. So just do that. Let's create our little blacklist marker before we forget. Let's say that this is the airbase we make it. I might change my mind and make it the. I think there's multiple military areas. Yeah, there's one up here, so I might do that one instead. But for now, demonstration purposes, let's create a marker. Ellipse. Let's set it to 350 by 350. That might be too small though. Name it blacklist 1 _ marker. Alright. Make sure that both these values are exactly the same, whether it's an ellipse or rectangle. Otherwise, if it's uneven, then has weird issues. So yep, gotta make it bigger. So let's make it 550 by 550. It could probably be a little bit bigger, but that's fine. Alright, so now we have our blacklist marker. No bad guys gonna spawn in that area. So now we have the opcom module and military civilian placement module. So now we're gonna create a can we do this one? I think I did this one. I'm not positive though. I'm not positive if I use the military placement module. I'll have to check late in a bit. But what we're gonna do instead is go to here we go, CQB module. It's the very top one in the ALiVE military category. So CQB. This basically will spawn guys inside of houses. I have a rare random chance, you know, there'll be a 10% chance per house that it'll be occupied with insurgents. And density just means that there'll be a low chance that there could be additional insurgents patrolling around that house or occupying that house and stuff like that. So I'm gonna set it to static placement, static. Spawn ground will be 700, but I'm gonna set it to 600 just to be safe. Maybe you can set it to 650, 700. 700 is not bad, but I think 600 is not too bad either for performance purposes. Factions will be set to CFAGMET. Make sure there's underscores, not spaces. Let's paste it right there. Make sure you blacklist one marker. Put your blacklist marker there. You can have multiple blacklist markers. So if you wanted another one, you do blacklist 2 marker. Doesn't have to be that specific name either. I just do that for consistency in my missions and simplicity. And that is it. Alright. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Helicopters. Spawn helicopters. Well, by default this is set to 0. But basically, these values here are the distance you have to be in meters, I believe, to where the insurgent will be spawning before they can spawn in. So if you come within a house at come within 600 meters of a house where an insurgent is going to spawn, he will spawn. If you are outside of that range, he will despawn. And you can make it apply to helicopters. I do not advise it for jets. I've tested it. I've tried my best to get it to work with jets, but with so many different values and it's too slow. It's the constant despawning and spawning of units all over the map while the jet is moving everywhere. It's just the game can't keep up. So I would advise you just always leave this at 0 for jet. But helicopters is totally fine. It makes complete sense why you would have it enabled, because if you're so yeah, you can't just easily just insert into a town that is going to be super hot when you are boots on the ground, basically. So yeah, that's it. That's the CQB module. And last but not least, I'm pretty sure I did the this military placement module, but I just can't remember. So yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to sync the CQB module to the military civilian placement module, and sync the military placement module to the opcom module. If you're wondering why we're doing this, it's because we're saying that all units that are spawned in buildings and stuff will be contesting areas that are strategic, or if they're contesting an area or occupying an area that is a strategic point, such as a military base or a town or whatever, and then you clear out that town, then units from the military civilian placement module, which are synced to the opcom module. Let me explain it this way. The opcom module is the commander, the imaginary commander of all the insurgents on the map. It allows them to know what is a strategic point and what is a value on the map and what they have to fight over. So if they lose control of a town or a village because you cleared it out, the opcom module will actually try to send military civilian placement module spawned units, which are insurgents that might be patrolling in the mountains or patrolling roads with technicals and stuff like that. it will actually send units to go reinforce the town you just cleared. It could take 10 minutes for them to do that, but or more, or sometimes less, but that is awesome. And so yeah, when you this makes it so that when you kill CQB units, it'll also apply as you clearing that town. Because technically, if you didn't sync it, then the OPCOM module is not being notified. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, so that's why I have it like that. Alright, so, and that's one of the main reasons why I use ALiVE instead of using scripts to spawn insurgents and civilians. It's because of how it has this collective knowledge of strategic points and to reinforce areas and to counterattack and all this cool shit. ALiVE is heavily, heavily, heavily underrated, and I'm fucking amazed that there are not that many missions that utilize the limitless possibilities with just the modules out. This mod is not even done yet. It doesn't even have all the modules out. It's still being polished, and it's still amazing. So anyway, that out of the way. So now we pretty much have a working Takistan Insurgency. We don't have any friendly air assets or anything like that. We don't have any scripts in here for field repair or anything, but we can get to that. Maybe I'll do that in another video if people need me to, but it's pretty simple. If I Alt-Tab, you should be able to see me go to my documents, my my 3 other profiles, go to missions, blah blah blah. And so what we would do is, you can go into I've released these folders. These are the openable versions of the mission, and you can just kind of copy and paste most of this stuff. You do not copy the mission because it's the values in it are set for the Takistan mission, so the coordinates for units and stuff are set for Takistan. And this map is Rashman is 3 times the size of Takistan, so yeah, fucking huge. So you don't want to copy that. Everything else you could copy though, as far as I know. Just do some minor edits, but maybe I'll do a video to cover this next. I think I'm spending too much time. How much? 22 minutes? God damn it! I talk so much. Alright, I'm sorry guys, but hopefully this was informative and to the point enough where I just covered everything that you need to know about ALiVE. This basically will spawn insurgents, civilians, all over the fucking map. Every town, village, military area, industrial area, marina, whatever, naval areas will be considered strategic points by the OPCOM module, which is controlling the insurgent AI and as a collective. And there will be civilians walking around and that you can interact with if you have the new authentic gameplay modification mod. And yeah, so, and we'll probably do even more in the next video, which I'm going to do right now. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. Sorry, I'm just going to try to keep these videos short, but I just rambled so much, so take it easy.